Grand Architect Valoran stood before the crystalline display, his iridescent scales reflecting the holographic images of Earth floating before him. The quantum receiver hummed quietly in the background, still warm from the desperate transmission that had interrupted the High Council's routine conquest planning session. Do not underestimate the humans. 5 words, broadcast with the last dying breath of the Krenchi civilization. Valoran's upper lip curled in disgust as he gestured to the images before him. Observe, council members. These creatures still burn fossil fuels. Their space vessels can barely reach their own moon. They wage wars over primitive religious beliefs and invisible borders. His 4-fingered hand swept through the hologram, scattering the images like dust. The Krenchi were weak. Their warning is meaningless. Only Junior Observer Kratal, newest and lowest ranked among the council members, dared to study the images more closely. Something tugged at the edge of his consciousness, a pattern he couldn't quite grasp. The timestamps. There was something about the timestamps. Grand Architect, Kratal began, his voice barely above a whisper. These observations are conclusive, Valoran interrupted, his dominant eyes fixing Kratal with a stern gaze, while his secondary eyes continued scanning the data streams. The human system will make an excellent addition to the Dominion. Their resources are plentiful, their defenses negligible. A standard conquest protocol will suffice. 12 light-years away, in an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Jessica Miller stared at her quantum scanner's readings with a mixture of fear and excitement. The alien signals were encrypted, yes, but they were also sloppy. Overconfident. The Zaxtheri, as they called themselves in their transmissions, didn't even bother masking their energy signatures. They're watching us through outdated satellites, she announced to the small group of military and scientific personnel gathered around her workstation. They're intercepting old broadcasts, analyzing decade-old data. They think they're being thorough, but they have no idea we can detect them. Colonel Amanda Hayes finished, a predatory smile crossing her face. The hardened veteran had seen enough battles to know when she had an advantage. How much are they missing? Jessica pulled up her own data screens, displaying a list of carefully hidden human achievements. Quantum computing clusters disguised as server farms, fusion reactors masked as conventional power plants, a network of gravity wave detectors that had been monitoring the aliens' FTL signatures for months. Everything that matters, Jessica replied. They think they're studying a primitive species, but they're really looking at a carefully crafted facade. Everything they're seeing is what we want them to see. Back in the Zaxtheri Council chamber, Kratal finally pieced it together. The timestamps. None of the observation data was more recent than 5 years ago. Either their surveillance systems were malfunctioning, or the humans were hiding something. He opened his mouth to speak again, but Valoran was already issuing commands. Prepare the diplomatic fleet. Standard conquest protocol indicates we should offer them the illusion of choice before we take their world. It makes the transition smoother, reduces resource expenditure on suppressing resistance. The other council members chittered their approval. Only Kratal remained silent, his scales shifting to a worried gray. The last transmission from the Krenchi played again in his mind. Do not underestimate the humans. As the council chamber emptied, Kratal accessed the historical archives. He needed to know what had happened to the Krenchi. But when he tried to pull up the records of their conquest, he found something disturbing. There were no records of a Zaxtheri invasion of Krenchi space. The Krenchi hadn't been conquered by the Dominion at all. They had fallen to someone else, or something else, and they had used their final moments to warn the Dominion about humanity. The Zaxtheri diplomatic fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of crystalline ships and quantum energy, their vessels casting prismatic rainbows across Earth's atmosphere. Ambassador Ruvik stood on the command deck of the flagship, his scales shimmering with anticipated triumph as he watched the primitive planet grow larger in their view screen. Curious, his aide murmured, analyzing the incoming data. Their global communication networks are showing remarkable composure. No panic, no chaos. Rovix dismissed the observation with a flick of his secondary eyes. They likely lack the technological sophistication to comprehend our true power. Ignorance breeds confidence. At the designated landing zone in Nevada's desert, Colonel Amanda Hayes adjusted her dress uniform and checked her tablet one final time. Dr. Miller's message blinked on the screen. Shields analyzed. Weaknesses identified. Ghost is already in. Copy that, Hayes whispered into her subvocal communicator. To the casual observer, or alien surveillance, she appeared to be simply clearing her throat. The Zaxtheri ship landed with theatrical precision, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight in ways that should have dazzled the human welcoming committee. Should have, except for the quantum-dampening contact lenses Dr. Miller had developed specifically for this moment. Ambassador Ravix emerged from his ship like a king granting an audience, his ceremonial robes catching the light. He expected awe. Instead, he found Colonel Hayes offering a warm, knowing smile that made his scales ripple with unexpected unease. "Welcome to Earth," Hayes said, her posture perfect, her tone carefully measured. "We've been expecting you." For a fraction of a second, Ravix's dominant eyes widened. They had practiced thousands of first contact scenarios, but none had accounted for this level of preparedness. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Major David Cooper's fingers danced across holographic interfaces as his cyber warfare unit penetrated the aliens' supposedly impenetrable systems. "Their arrogance is our best advantage," he muttered, watching as his custom quantum algorithms dismantled firewalls that the Zaxtheri believed unbreakable. "They haven't updated their encryption in centuries." Back on the surface, Ravix recovered his composure. "We come in peace," he announced, the universal translator rendering his words into perfect English. "The Zaxtheri Dominion wishes to extend an invitation to your species." "How generous," Hayes replied, noting how the ambassador's secondary eyes kept darting to the seemingly primitive human technologies on display. Everything visible had been carefully selected to reinforce their deception. "Perhaps you'd like to address our global council." In his hidden command center, Cooper grinned as another firewall fell. "Tell Ghost he's got access to their navigational systems." Full penetration achieved. The Zaxtheri delegation followed Hayes into a conventional-looking military base. They didn't notice how their own sensors were being subtly fed false readings, didn't realize that beneath the desert floor lay a quantum computing facility more advanced than anything in their fleet. Junior Observer Kurtal, who had insisted on joining the diplomatic mission, felt his scales shift to worried gray again. Something about the humans' behavior patterns seemed off. Their responses were too perfect, too measured, as if they were following a script written specifically to appeal to Zaxtheri expectations. "Your civilization shows remarkable unity," Rovix commented as they walked, trying to maintain control of the conversation. Hayes smiled again, that same knowing smile that made Crittl's scales itch. "We've learned to come together when it matters, Ambassador. Humanity is full of surprises." In orbit, aboard the Zaxtheri fleet's flagship, a seemingly routine system diagnostic was actually James "Ghost" Patterson's infiltration program, quietly mapping every weakness in their defenses. The legendary Marine-turned-hacker had written the program to mirror normal Zaxtheri protocols so perfectly that not even their AI could detect the intrusion. The stage was set. The Zaxtheri thought they were following their standard conquest protocol, never realizing they were actually following humanity's carefully laid plan. As Hayes led the delegation toward the conference room, she received another message from Dr. Miller. "All their ships are compromised. We're ready." First contact was proceeding exactly as planned. Humanity's plan, not theirs. The United Nations General Assembly chamber hummed with tension as Ambassador Ravix took the podium. His crystalline translator device floated beside him, a deliberate display of technological superiority that made Dr. Jessica Miller smile from her position in the observer's gallery. The device's quantum matrix was already compromised, thanks to Ghost's infiltration protocols. "People of Earth," Ravix began, his scales shifting to authoritative gold. The Zaxtheri Dominion has evaluated your civilization and found it adequate for elevation. His secondary eyes swept the chamber, expecting to see relief, gratitude, or fear. Instead, he found unsettling calm. Human Representative Michael Thompson sat in the front row, his expression carefully neutral. Through his augmented contact lenses, he watched real-time analysis of the ambassador's biological signals. Every scale shift, every eye movement was being cataloged and decoded. The terms are simple, Rovix continued. Submit to Dominion protection, and your species will be granted access to technologies beyond your primitive understanding. Refuse. He let the threat hang in the air as the chamber's lights dimmed dramatically, an effect he hadn't actually commanded. In her hidden facility, Dr. Miller watched the ambassador's confusion with satisfaction. Keep him off balance, she whispered into her comlink. Every time he tries to control the room, remind him that he's not in charge. Thompson rose to speak, his movements unhurried. The people of Earth appreciate the Dominion's generous offer. He checked his watch, an ordinary gesture that was actually a signal to Ghost's cyber warfare team. However, such a momentous decision requires careful deliberation. How much time are we permitted? Rovix's scales rippled with smug satisfaction. The Dominion grants you 30 days to accept our protection. After that, his translator projected images of planetary devastation that would have been terrifying if humanity hadn't already developed countermeasures for every weapon they showed. In the secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Hayes watched the proceedings with Major Cooper's team. 30 days, Cooper snorted. They really have no idea what humans can do in 30 days, especially when we've had months to prepare. Hayes added, studying the holographic displays showing the progress of Operation Phoenix. In hidden facilities across the globe, engineers were already implementing designs based on the Zaxtheri technology they'd secretly studied. What had taken the aliens centuries to perfect, humanity was remaking and improving in weeks. Back in the UN chamber, Thompson maintained his diplomatic facade. 30 days seems reasonable, he said, noting how Rovix's secondary eyes twitched at the word choice. We will use this time to prepare our civilization for integration. In orbit, Ghost's quantum infiltrators were already downloading the Zaxtheri fleet's complete technical database. His message to Dr. Miller was succinct. Their ships are running on code that hasn't been updated in 300 years. It's like they stopped innovating once they thought they were perfect. Crittall, watching from the gallery, felt his scales shift to deep gray with worry. The humans were too calm, too accepting. He accessed his personal database, still trying to understand what had happened to the Krenchi. The records were fragmentary, but he had found something disturbing. The Krenchi hadn't been destroyed in battle. They had simply vanished, along with their technology, their innovations, and their warnings about humanity. As Rovix concluded his speech with another theatrical display of Zaxtheri power, Dr. Miller sent a message to all Operation Phoenix teams. The countdown has begun. 30 days to show them why the Krenchi warned them about us. Thompson watched the ambassador depart, then checked his real watch. In exactly 30 days, the Zaxtheri would learn humanity's greatest secret, give humans a deadline, and they become capable of the impossible. In his private chambers aboard the flagship, Rovix composed his report to the High Council. The humans have accepted their fate with appropriate humility. In 30 days, the Dominion will have a new protectorate. Crittall, reading the report, added a personal note that would go unheeded. But what if we're the ones being evaluated? James Ghost Patterson stood in the heart of what the public knew as the Silicon Valley Innovation Center. In reality, it was the central hub of humanity's greatest technological leap forward. Holographic displays surrounded him, showing real-time progress from facilities worldwide. Each one carefully hidden from Zaxtheri observation through a combination of quantum masking and old-fashioned misdirection. "Show me Beta Site," he commanded. The display shifted to an underground facility beneath the Sahara Desert, where Chinese quantum computers interfaced seamlessly with American AI systems. Dr. Miller's team had cracked the basic principles of Zach's theory tech weeks ago. Now, they were improving upon it. Their shields operate on a crystalline frequency matrix, Dr. Miller's hologram explained, her image flickering beside him. But they never considered using organic quantum entanglement. We can bypass their defenses entirely. Above ground, the Zach's theory observers watched humans attend peace rallies and preparation ceremonies. Their ships recorded everything, never realizing that the gathering served as cover for the massive power signatures of the experimental facilities below. Every protest march happened to pass over major quantum tunneling tests. Every peace concert masked the energy spikes of new shield harmonics being tested. In Moscow, Russian aerospace engineers worked alongside NASA scientists in a repurposed metro tunnel. Their combined expertise had already produced prototype engines that incorporated both human ingenuity and reversed-engineered alien tech. Colonel Hayes' daily reports to the Zach's theory about civilian infrastructure projects were technically true, if you considered faster-than-light drive testing to be infrastructure. They're still watching our old satellites, Major Cooper reported during the daily briefing. His cyber warfare unit had taken to adding outdated data to the alien surveillance networks. They're so convinced of their superiority that they're not even looking for deception. Crittle, however, was looking. The junior observer had started noticing patterns in human behavior that his superiors dismissed. The way their primitive communication satellites periodically aligned in seemingly random patterns. How their power grids would surge and dim in sequences that almost looked like quantum calculations. The humans are being too cooperative, he reported to Ambassador Ravix. Their submission seems perfect. Ravix interrupted, his scales shimmering with satisfaction. They understand their place in the natural order. In the Himalayan facility, Indian nuclear scientists and European particle physicists had achieved what the Zach's theory thought impossible: stable antimatter containment using modified versions of alien technology. Dr. Miller's breakthrough had come from realizing that the aliens' rigid adherence to traditional designs had blinded them to simpler solutions. They spent centuries perfecting their containment fields, she explained to Thompson during a secure quantum call. We looked at the problem from a different angle and solved it in 3 weeks. Coast received updates from every site, each one reporting ahead of schedule. Humanity had taken the aliens' 30-day deadline as a challenge, not a threat. The Zach's theory had never encountered a species that thrived under pressure, that actually accelerated when faced with impossible odds. Final systems check, Ghost announced to the global team. Everyone remember, keep the peace rallies going. Let them think we're preparing for submission. In orbit, Krital made one final attempt to warn his superiors. The humans' behavior patterns don't match any previous species we've encountered. Their technology levels are inconsistent. Their power signatures don't align with their visible infrastructure. Ambassador Ravix dismissed him with a gesture. Your concern is noted, junior observer. But look, they gather to celebrate their imminent elevation. They build monuments to peace. They prepare themselves for our guidance. In the depths of the Mariana Trench facility, the first human-built quantum crystalline ship powered up its engines. Its design incorporated everything humanity had learned from studying the Zach's theory, plus innovations the aliens had never imagined. Dr. Miller's message to the global team was simple: 20 days ahead of schedule. Ready when you are. The humans were indeed preparing, just not for submission. In hidden facilities across the globe, a new age of human technology was being born. And the Zach's theory, in their arrogance, had given them the deadline that made it all possible. Dawn broke over Pearl Harbor, Iowa, humanity's newest naval installation in the Pacific. The Zach's theory fleet descended through the atmosphere in perfect formation, their crystalline ships casting prismatic shadows across the ocean. Ambassador Ravix watched from the command deck, his scales gleaming with anticipated triumph. A fitting target, he declared. Their historical records show this location's significance. Breaking their will here will be poetic. In the facility's control center, Colonel Hayes watched the alien ships approach. Dr. Miller stood beside her, monitoring quantum readouts while Ghost's team maintained their digital masquerade. The aliens still thought they were seeing a conventional military base. "They're right about one thing," Hayes commented, checking her tactical display. "This will be historic." Ravix's voice boomed across all frequencies. "People of Earth, your time has expired. Witness the price of defiance." The flagship's main cannon charged, crystalline energy cascading along its length. The beam that could shatter mountains lashed out at the seemingly defenseless installation. It never reached its target. The air itself appeared to ripple, Dr. Miller's organic quantum shields catching the energy and dispersing it harmlessly into the ocean. In the sudden silence that followed, Hayes keyed her calm. "Now, Major Cooper, show them what 30 days can do." Aboard the Zaxtheri flagship, systems began failing in cascading waves. Ghost's dormant programs activated simultaneously, turning the aliens' own technology against them. Screens flickered with a message in perfect Zaxtheri script. "You were warned." Impossible. Ravix's scales shifted to panic white. "Their technology is primitive. They can't." The ocean beneath his fleet erupted. Humanity's first quantum ships, built in secret beneath the waves, rose into the morning sky. Their designs were recognizable yet wrong. Hybrid vessels that combined Zaxtheri principles with human innovation. What had taken the aliens centuries to perfect, humanity had deconstructed and improved in weeks. "All ships, execute Pattern Omega," Hayes commanded. The human fleet moved with impossible precision, their organic quantum drives allowing maneuvers the rigid Zaxtheri formations couldn't match. Dr. Miller's enhanced weapons tore through their superior defenses like paper. Crittle, watching from a secondary command post, finally understood. "The Krenchi," he whispered. "They weren't warning us about human aggression. They were warning us about human adaptation." In orbit, Ghost's cyber warfare suite had complete control of the alien network. "Their entire command structure runs on protocols they haven't updated in generations," he reported. "They never expected anyone to improve on their perfect systems." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 15 minutes. When it ended, the mighty Zaxtheri fleet hung powerless above the Pacific, their systems locked down by human-made quantum algorithms they couldn't even detect, let alone counter. Hayes opened a channel to Ravix's ship. "Ambassador, I believe it's time to renegotiate the terms of our elevation." In his command chair, Ravix stared at the human vessels surrounding his fleet. Their designs incorporated Zaxtheri technology, yes, but changed in ways that suggested his people's understanding of quantum mechanics was fundamentally flawed. "How?" he managed to ask. "How did you advance so quickly?" Dr. Miller's voice answered him. "You gave us a deadline, Ambassador. Humans work best under pressure." But more importantly, the scientist hologram appeared on his bridge, courtesy of technology that shouldn't have existed yet. "You showed us your perfect, unchanging systems, and in doing so, you showed us exactly how to beat them." Crittal accessed the historical archives one final time and found the complete Krenchi warning that the High Council had dismissed. "Do not underestimate the humans. They don't just adapt. They thrive on adversity. Every limitation you place on them becomes a challenge. Every deadline becomes motivation. They will take your technology and improve it in ways you never imagined. They will transform your perfect systems into something new, and they will do it faster than you can possibly prepare for." As the sun rose over Pearl Harbor, humanity had proven the warning true. The Zaxtheri's arrogance had cost them everything, and humanity's age of quantum ascension had begun. Ambassador Ravix stood before the holographic projection of the High Council, his scales a mottled pattern of fear and shame. The quantum transmission wavered as Ghost systems allowed it through their new defense network, a courtesy that made the defeat even more bitter. "Explain," Grand Architect Valoran demanded, his dominant eyes blazing with fury. How did a primitive species disable our entire diplomatic fleet? Before Ravix could respond, the transmission shifted. Dr. Miller's hologram appeared alongside him, making the High Council recoil. Actually, she said, I'd be happy to explain that myself. In the background, Ghost's team maintained careful control over the quantum networks. They allowed the connection to remain stable as Miller interfaced with the Zaxtheres holographic systems, creating a real-time demonstration that made the aliens' most advanced technology look obsolete. Your first mistake, Miller continued, manipulating the space between realities with casual ease, was thinking technology only advances in linear steps. She pulled up a simulation showing the progression of human innovation compared to Zaxtheri development. You perfect a technology over decades, refusing to deviate from established patterns. We look at it and immediately see 6 ways to improve it. The simulation expanded, showing how humanity had taken the crystalline basis of Zaxtheri quantum mechanics and merged it with organic computing. What had been rigid and unchanging became fluid, adaptive, alive. Impossible, Valoran whispered, his secondary eyes tracking the calculations that proved humanity had surpassed centuries of Zaxtheri development in mere weeks. Crittle stepped forward, his scales now showing the deep blue of revelation. The Krenshi knew, he said. They discovered this same pattern, didn't they, Dr. Miller? Very observant, Miller nodded. The Krenshi encountered us 50 years ago. They saw what happened when humans were given access to advanced technology. They chose to withdraw, to warn others. But you didn't listen. In his secure facility, Ghost was putting the finishing touches on humanity's greatest achievement yet. The holographic display shifted again, showing a human-designed FTL drive that incorporated principles the Zaxtheri had never considered. While you were watching our fossil fuel plants, Ghost explained, joining the transmission, we were studying the quantum wake of your ships. While you monitored our satellite communications, we were decoding the fundamental structure of reality itself. Every piece of technology you showed us became a puzzle for us to solve. The High Council watched in stunned silence as human innovations cascaded across their displays, shields that adapted to attacks, drives that bent space in ways their perfect systems couldn't match, weapons that could disable without destroying, showing a finesse the Zaxtheri had never mastered. Your civilization's greatest weakness, Colonel Hayes added, her hologram materializing with military precision, is your belief in perfection. You stopped innovating because you thought you'd reached the peak. Humans know better. We know that every achievement is just a stepping stone to the next discovery. Ravix's scales shifted to the deep green of understanding. The peace rallies, he whispered. The submission preparations. It was all a cover, Hayes confirmed. Every public gathering masked a research facility. Every peaceful demonstration hid a technological breakthrough. You saw exactly what you expected to see, a primitive species preparing for submission. In the depths of space, Ghost's new FTL drive hummed to life. The fabric of reality rippled as human ships demonstrated capabilities that the Zaxtheri had deemed impossible. Their perfect, unchanging empire faced a species that transformed limitations into opportunities. We're transmitting this data to every civilization in the Dominion, Miller announced. Your age of technological stagnation is over. Humanity doesn't want to conquer you. We want to wake you up. The High Council watched their perfect system crumble, not through violence, but through innovation. Their belief in their own superiority had blinded them to humanity's greatest weapon, the ability to take the impossible and make it routine. The Krenshi were right, Crittle said softly. We should never have underestimated them. In the silence that followed, the future rewrote itself. The age of Zaxtheri perfection was over. The age of human innovation had begun. The Zaxtheri rally point at Proxima Centauri should have been secure. For millennia, it had served as an impregnable fallback position for the Dominion's fleets. But as Admiral Rivix's retreating ships dropped out of FTL, They found something impossible waiting for them. Human vessels, dozens of them, not just waiting, but already integrated into the quantum fabric of local space in ways that made the Zaxtheri defensive grid obsolete. How? Rovix demanded, his scales cycling through patterns of disbelief. We only gave them our most basic FTL principles. They couldn't have. Basic was enough. Colonel Hayes' voice cut through their command frequencies. Her flagship, a hybrid vessel that combined Earth's newest innovations with enhanced alien tech, hung in space like a predator waiting to strike. You showed us the door. We figured out how to build a better house. In the neural command center of Hayes' ship, Dr. Miller's quantum interfaces showed the Zaxtheri fleet's every weakness. Their rigid battle formations, unchanged for centuries, were painfully predictable. Their supposedly perfect defensive screens had gaps that human sensors could spot instantly. All ships, execute Operation Ghostwalker, Hayes commanded. The human fleet moved like water, flowing through space in patterns the Zaxtheri combat computers couldn't track. Ghost's cyber warfare suites had evolved beyond mere hacking. They spoke directly to the quantum substrate of alien technology, turning the Dominion's own ships into unwitting allies. Magnificent, isn't it? Ghost's voice echoed through the Zaxtheri command channel. Your ships are running combat protocols you haven't updated since before Earth discovered electricity. We rewrote them in our sleep. Crittle, now serving as tactical advisor aboard Ravix's flagship, watched human vessels phase through supposedly impenetrable shields. They're not just using our technology, he realized. They're showing us everything we got wrong. The battle unfolded like a dance, where Zaxtheri ships moved in rigid, perfect formations. Human vessels flowed like mercury. When the aliens fired their crystalline weapons, human shields adapted instantly, learning from each attack. What should have been an orderly retreat became a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. In her command chair, Hayes watched the Zaxtheri formations crumble. You built your empire on the belief that your way was perfect, she broadcast. But perfection is stagnation. Humanity thrives on imperfection. It drives us to improve. Dr. Miller's quantum sensors detected Zaxtheri reinforcements arriving. But instead of fear, she felt satisfaction. More ships means more data, she told Hayes. Every vessel they send teaches us something new. The reinforcements emerged from FTL into chaos. Human ships seemed to exist in multiple spaces simultaneously, their organic quantum drives rewriting the rules of space-time. Ghost's cyber warfare units didn't just penetrate their defenses, they transformed them, turning each Zaxtheri ship into a testament to human innovation. The Krenchi were right to warn us, Krutl transmitted on an open channel, but they weren't complete in their warning. Humans don't just adapt, they revolutionize. Every technology we showed them became a foundation for something we never imagined. Ravix watched his mighty fleet reduced not to wreckage, but to confusion. Human weapons didn't destroy. They disabled, transformed, improved. Each defeated ship emerged better than before, its rigid systems replaced with fluid, adaptive ones. This isn't an invasion, he realized. It's an upgrade. Hayes smiled as the last Zaxtheri ship surrendered. Exactly, Ambassador. You thought you were bringing civilization to us. Instead, we're bringing innovation to you. The battle for Proxima Centauri ended not with destruction, but with transformation. Human ships surrounded their disabled opponents, sharing rather than conquering. Ghost's teams began upgrading Zaxtheri systems, while Dr. Miller's quantum innovations spread through their network like a benevolent virus. Your empire won't fall, Hayes transmitted to the Dominion's capital. But it will change. The age of perfect, unchanging order is over. The age of endless possibility has begun. In the space above Proxima Centauri, humanity's victory wasn't marked by the destruction of an enemy, but by the birth of something new. A civilization that valued growth over perfection, innovation over tradition, and the endless potential of change. The crystalline spires of the Zaxtheri capital gleamed with new light, Where once they stood as monuments to unchanging perfection, they now pulse with organic quantum energies, a visible symbol of the transformation sweeping through the galaxy. Human Representative Michael Thompson stood before the former High Council chamber, now renamed the Galactic Innovation Forum. His audience included not just Zax Theory officials, but representatives from dozens of former Protectorate species, each drawn by humanity's impossible achievement. "We didn't come to conquer," Thompson began, his words translated simultaneously into hundreds of languages by Ghost's new quantum network. "We came to awaken. The universe isn't meant to be perfect, it's meant to evolve." In orbit, Dr. Miller's latest creation demonstrated his words. A massive quantum observatory, built through collaboration between human intuition and Zax Theory precision, peered into the fabric of reality itself. What the Dominion had seen as uniform perfection, humanity revealed to be endless layers of possibility. "Your civilization achieved wonders," Miller addressed the gathered species, her hologram highlighting the quantum principles the Zax Theory had mastered. "But you stopped. You decided perfect was enough. Humanity's gift isn't superior technology. It's the understanding that there is no enough." Ghost stepped forward, his neural interfaces now seamlessly merged with both human and alien systems. "Every technology can be improved. Every system can evolve." The Zax Theory spent centuries polishing their crystal ships to perfection. We looked at them and asked, what if they could grow? The chamber's displays showed the new hybrid vessels being constructed in orbital shipyards. Living crystal merged with organic computing, creating ships that learned, adapted, and evolved with each journey. What had been static perfection became dynamic excellence. Critel, now serving as the liaison between old order and new, watched former Protectorate species share innovations they'd kept hidden for fear of challenging Zax Theory's superiority. "We thought we were elevating lesser species," he admitted. "Instead, we were suppressing a galaxy's worth of innovation." Colonel Hayes, commanding the new multi-species defense force, demonstrated the results of this collaboration. Ships of every design and origin moved in harmony, each contributing unique perspectives to the art of space travel. The rigid formations of the past gave way to fluid, adaptive strategies that treated space itself as a partner rather than a conquest. The Krenchi weren't extinct, Major Cooper revealed, his cyber warfare units now serving as bridges between civilizations. They were waiting, watching, making sure their warning reached the right ears at the right time. As if summoned by his words, a Krenchi ship decloaked in high orbit. Their technology, evolved in secret for 50 years since their first contact with humanity, represented a third path, neither Zax Theory perfection nor pure human innovation, but a beautiful hybrid of multiple approaches. "This is humanity's true strength," Thompson continued. "Not our technology, not our adaptability, but our ability to see the best in every system and help it grow. We don't want uniform perfection. We want diverse excellence." The gathered species watched as the new quantum internet spread through the galaxy, connecting civilizations that had been isolated by Zax Theory protocol. Ideas flowed freely, each innovation sparking a dozen more. The rigid hierarchy of the Dominion transformed into a dynamic network of collaboration. "Your empire doesn't need to end," Hayes announced to the former High Council. "It needs to evolve. Every species has something to teach. Every civilization has something to learn." In the heart of the former Dominion, change rippled outward like waves in the quantum foam of spacetime. The Zax Theory learned to embrace imperfection as a path to growth. Former Protectorates discovered their own unique contributions to the galactic community. And humanity, the species that had shattered the cage of perfection, continued to push the boundaries of possibility. They had one warning about humans, Critel mused, watching the new order take shape. But they missed the most important truth. Humanity's greatest power isn't destroying the old, but nurturing the new. Above the transformed capital, ships of all species danced through space, each movement a testament to the power of change. The age of rigid perfection had ended not with a bang, but with an invitation to join humanity in the endless adventure of asking, what if? The galaxy would never be perfect again. It would be something far better, alive with possibility.